Back here on HQ Spotlight, where the college football playoff first round kicks off Friday night. Here's a look at the final bracket. Friday, we'll see Alabama at Oklahoma, an SEC rematch from the regular season that really sets the table for Saturday's triple header. Miami at Texas A&M, James Madison at Oregon, and a rare non-conference rematch between Tulane and Ole Miss. Tulane looking for a big rebound because they got boat raced in the first meeting this season, 45-10. So are we confident they have a legit shot this time around? Let's ask our experts as we say hello to Chip Patterson and Shehan Jeyarajah. Guys, great to see you. Chip, I'll start with you. And going back to that first meeting, what can Tulane learn from that game?
Start on time, Jordan. I mean, goodness gracious, Ole Miss was so bad out the gate. There is just one thing to be able to pose a threat to a big, power conference competition, especially when you're playing on the road. But when you come out and you just allow the opposing offense to march right down your throat time after time again, there is just not going to be much of a chance to pull off the upset, because the first time that the Ole Miss offense punted was in the second half. The halftime score in this game was 23-3, but it was not even that close. That's because Ole Miss's opening drives go touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal. And that could have been even worse. We could have been talking about 35-3. So if you are Tulane, a lot of this has to be understanding how you need to play early to give yourself a chance, because when you are fighting uphill, which Tulane absolutely is in terms of overall talent level, you cannot have the game leveraged against you like when you're in a huge early deficit. So if you want to be able to have a chance here, a big thing to me that they can learn from that first game is not falling in that early deficit.
It is a wild situation, though, Shehan, that we have Tulane's Jon Sumrall with one foot really out the door on his way to Florida, taking that head coaching job, obviously, learning now that his quarterback, DJ Lagway, is entering the portal, all while he's prepping his current team for the college football playoff. Like, my head is spinning for him, thinking about how he's balancing all of this.
Yeah, he tweeted it out, right? 2 phones, 2 hours of sleep, 2 jobs. I mean, it's really as crazy a situation as we've had. And by the way, we'll point out, too, that Bob Chesney over at James Madison is dealing with something similar. But the pressures that he has right now are really unique. I think that he's handled this situation really well, been fantastically transparent. Even just this week, he donated $100,000 to Tulane to kind of try to keep that roster together. But this is going to be an interesting challenge. You've got a staff at Tulane that obviously has their eyes on Florida, with a staff also at Ole Miss that's trying to figure out itself as well. So I think that they're going to be very focused on this game. I mean, look, when Jon Sumrall came into this job at Tulane, he very explicitly said, like, we are going to be in the college football playoff. That is our goal. That is our expectation. He has the chance to be here. I don't think that he's going to take that for granted.
Seems like we're keeping the peace pretty nicely. We'll wait and see. But from Tulane's perspective, Chip, who is going to be their impact player to watch in this one?
Jake Retzlaff, and a lot of it comes back to how bad he was against Ole Miss first go-round. It was only his 4th start for the Green Wave, and remember, he was a late addition from the roster coming over in the off-season in the summertime, but man, he was really bad. 5 for 17 passing for 56 yards. He ends up getting benched and replaced by Brendan Sullivan in this game. I think that Retzlaff will play better. I just believe that he played better through the season, but the other piece of this that I'm really watching specifically is Jake Retzlaff as a runner, because coming down the stretch of the season against FAU, Temple, Charlotte, we didn't see him as much a part of the ground game, at least in terms of quarterback designed runs. But what did we see against North Texas? 15 rushing attempts, 2 rushing touchdowns. I think it is one of those situations where Retzlaff was kind of kept in check as he tried to get as healthy as possible, and now he's going to hope to have a better game passing. Then I'm expecting he'll be a big part of the run game as well.
No, I love that pick, but I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go to Santana Hopper, their all-conference defensive lineman. In the second half of the season, he really came on, including 2 sacks in the conference championship game against North Texas. And Chip mentioned it. I mean, in this first matchup, Ole Miss just jumps out of the gates and really causes some issues for Ole Miss defensively. This is one of those spots where Tulane has to hang better. I look at this Tulane defense, obviously coordinated by Jon Jon Sumrall. I mean, they do just such a great job of being disruptive, of creating turnovers. And I think that this unit is playing with a lot more confidence, but you need one of those types of players who's going to make a mistake happen for Ole Miss. I think that Santana Hopper is that guy.
Love both of those picks, by the way. Both have to show up if they want to rebound nicely from the first meeting. Unlike Tulane's situation, though, you guys, Ole Miss's head coach, Lane Kiffin, already gone, unable to coach the Rebels, obviously, as he's shopping for some real estate in Baton Rouge right now. Do you expect a drop-off, though, Chip, from the Rebels, considering their head coach is gone?
Not in terms of total offensive production. I think they'll be a little bit close to what the expectations are, probably scoring a little bit over 30 points and probably helping them be in a good position against a lesser competition in Tulane. But I am looking for situational differences, Jordan. I'm looking at fourth downs. You know, Ole Miss was third in the SEC and in the top 50 nationally with 27 fourth down attempts on the season. And that was actually down from where they were 2 years ago, where Lane Kiffin was really on the aggressive side in terms of going forward on fourth downs. Do we see a more aggressive or less aggressive approach when it comes to going forward on fourth downs? When it comes to what you're going to do in the red zone, the kick punt decisions, this is going to be the first time that Pete Golding, a former defensive coordinator, has been thrust into that position. How much does he lean on Charlie Weis Jr., who, of course, has been the offensive coordinator through the season and will be for LSU next year? But how much does Charlie Weis Jr. get to make those calls? How much does Pete Golding make those calls? So a lot of this is going to come down not necessarily to the overall production, but some of those game management decisions, which it'll be the first time that Pete Golding's been put in that position. There could be a drop off there. I think Lane Kiffin does a really good job of telling his team, looking at the book and making an analytical and vibes decision. The Chipalytics approve of science and math mixed together. But I do think that this is a situation where I'm going to be paying attention on fourth down and in the red zone.
All right. Sounds good. Good news, too, for Rebels fans out there that we shouldn't expect a huge drop-off in terms of offensive production. We touched on the opposing quarterback here, Shehan, but not Ole Miss's Trinidad at Chambliss. What can you say about the emergence of him this season?
Look, we had the Heisman ceremony last weekend, and we got to see some of the best quarterbacks and stories in college football. I feel like Trinidad Chambliss has kind of flown under the radar. Division II transfer, national champion from Ferris State, comes on over to Ole Miss, and I think that he has been a huge part of the success that they've had going 11-1 and making their first college football playoff appearance. The thing about Chambliss that really stands out to me is just his playmaking ability in the biggest moments. I think back to that LSU game where he goes and has that fourth down conversion to essentially end the game. But again, because of his dual threat ability as well, he's able to move the chains. He's helped them put together long drives. I think that he has just been so key in high leverage situations like the ones, frankly, that Chip is talking about. When you have a player with that much experience and with that much a track record of success, I think it changes the way that you game plan for a game like this. So I really like Trinidad Chambliss in this spot. He's going to be incredibly key to this matchup.
Yeah, and we should expect a big game from him. Now getting to our Ole Miss impact player to watch. I love when both of you are on the same page. Chip, tell us why Lacey's going to have a big day in the backfield.
Kejuan Lacey was overlooked and underappreciated all daggum season. Okay, we were so focused on these quarterbacks and Lane Kiffin, we didn't see number 5 doing all the hard yard running. So I think Kejuan Lacey's going to be an impact player. I think he's going to have more of an impact than he did the first time go round against Tulane, where he only had 18 carries for 68 yards. He averaged more than 22 carries per game against FBS competition, averaged more than 100 yards per game on the season. It was not his best performance. He scored twice, but not his best performance, and that's why I'm not really worried about the drop-off in production, because while Lane Kiffin could scheme up a deep pass that's going to be wide open, you don't really need to have the cutting-edge coaching chops to understand that giving 22, 23, 24 carries to Kejuan Lacey is going to be a great way to win, and so I expect that will be a part of the game plan for the Rebels.
Easy answer there. Let's end here with a game pick. Shehan?
Yeah, give me Ole Miss. I'm not going to overthink it, right? I think that they managed things very well in their first matchup. I think that they will do the same again, although in a much closer game than the 45-10 of last time.
I'm right there with you, Shehan. I just don't see, with all this time to prepare and all the transition, Tulane just getting boat raced right out the door. Now, eventually, I do expect a double-digit win. Give me something in the range of like 31-20, slight under, and Tulane covering that big spread.
That sounds good to me. Let's root for a game, shall we, gentlemen? Always great to see you here on HQ Spotlight. Get full college football playoff previews on the Cover 3 podcast as the first round gets underway Friday. Scan that QR code on your screen now.